Hi, friends. Welcome back. Today, we're going to do a 5-minute journal based on this book, The Places That Scare You by Pema Trojan. So, here's the excerpt, and then we're going to journal about it for 5 minutes. So, she says, sometimes egolessness is called no self. These words can be misleading. The Buddha was not implying that we disappeared or that we could erase our personality. As a student once asked, doesn't experiencing egolessness make life kind of beige? It's not like that. Buddha was pointing out that the fixed idea that we have about ourselves as solid and separate from each other is painfully limiting. It is possible to move through the drama of our lives without believing so earnestly in the character that we play, that we take ourselves so seriously, that we are so absurdly important in our own minds is a problem for us. We feel justified in being annoyed with everything. We feel justified in denigrating ourselves or in feeling that we are more clever than other people. Self importance hurts us, limiting us to the narrow world of our likes and dislikes. We end up bored to death with ourselves and our world. We never end satisfied. We have two alternatives. Either we question our beliefs or we don't. Either we accept our fixed versions of reality or begin to challenge them. In Buddha's opinion, to train in staying open and curious, to train in dissolving our assumptions and beliefs, is the best use of our human lives. So we can journal about this fear of being egoless or the fear of life becoming beige if we just let go of our likes and dislikes, as she says. And then we can also journal about the feeling of craving an identity or a label or holding on for dear life, an assumption or belief you have. And at times I did that. How did that feel in order to have something to tell myself who I am or tell others who I am, like an accomplishment? And then we can compare that to letting go of identity, where perspective has shifted just because we learned that our original belief or assumption was completely wrong. So, 5 minutes, I will start the clock and we can start. Okay, that's about 5 minutes. So, when thinking about not having an ego, I I think about how, like, you basically the question of, well, who am I then? I read a lot of spiritual books about letting go of everything, just constantly letting go, meditate all the time, don't be attached. And the question that comes up is, okay, then what's left? If I don't have my identity, if I don't have my likes and dislikes, what do I have left to care about? And so I guess my fear of not having an ego is a fear of becoming apathetic and not having a reason to live. In the sense that, well, if I've let go of every worldly attachment, then life must be complete. I did it. So that's my fear about losing my ego. But I think what Pema and the Buddha are talking about is not letting go to throw my entire identity in the trash and always be a blank slate. I think what they're more talking about is loosening the grip. So, loosening the grip would allow me to have my perspective and identity flexible and not think that my beliefs, my assumptions are always right. So, that was helpful to journal about. Because, loosening on my identity, that I can do. Completely letting go and have nothing left, a little tougher. So, on to the craving identity versus letting go of the identity. So, when thinking about what identity I craved as a kid was to be the smart kid, have straight A's, be good at everything. And it's very apparent now as an adult, like how much I was squeezing and gripping onto those to feel good about myself, and the stress I created for myself, like all this suffering just to maintain this identity in order to get validation from others. And of course, looking back, was it worth it? Absolutely not. So that's what I imagine the feeling around craven identity and doing it in order for other people to know who I am and be liked. And then the letting go, where my perspective has shifted, also a childhood example. So in second grade, I was just talking to someone in my class, and we were talking about pudding, naturally, as 8-year-olds do. And he said his mom refrigerates his pudding, those like snack packs. And I was like, that is totally wrong. Your pudding belongs in the pantry. And I think both are acceptable. I don't even know. But I was so vehement that he was wrong. I was like, your pudding must taste disgusting. If anything, my pudding probably tastes disgusting if it was just in the cupboard. But even as an 8-year-old, I was just so, I was holding on so hard to that I'm obviously right. And it was just an example of me now as an adult, only took 20 years, where I learned something new and my perspective shifted, or my perspective opened up to the possibility that, oh, both these things are acceptable and true for different people. And more of an adult example about letting go. So when I catastrophize, when I say, oh, this minor inconvenience happened, well, it's pointless to finish this thing because everything's ruined already. Letting go of that and remembering that things are changing and flexible and that multiple outcomes exist. And just because this one thing happened or didn't go my way doesn't mean the only possible outcome is complete suffering and failure. So, this was good to journal about kind of this distinction between what my ego wants me to believe and what letting go would allow me to do, and really honing in on the fact that ego, like Eckhart Tolle talks about, is fear. That's his definition. And it's interesting to dig into fear more, about being egoless, about being apathetic, about being wrong, and seeing that's the driver of me wanting to grasp so hard at an identity or a certain belief system. So, I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you want, please write in the comments what you journaled. I would love to read them. And I'll see you next time.